Well, if you look at the exports of British food and farming products to Europe, it's £11 billion a year. It's a massive market, and by being as part of the European Union, we are able to influence those rules. Now, if we were to leave, we would most probably we definitely have to follow the rules. If we wanted full access to the single market, we would likely also have to accept free movement of labour and pay into the European Union. So there's not an easy choice here, and that is a really vital market for many parts of British farming. For example, our lamb exports, which are very strong into France. What I would say is that at the moment we are part of that single market, so we are part of setting the rules. If we were to negotiate a deal, and clearly the Prime Minister has said that if the British public vote for leave, that Article 50 would be started straight away. That would commence straight away. It would take 2 years. There would clearly be a negotiation process, but we don't know what that would look like. So at the moment, farmers have certainty about what the future looks like. We're part of schemes like BPS and countryside stewardship. I've said today I want to see those schemes improved. There's already a simplification process that's been launched by Commissioner Hogan, and we have full unfettered access to that market of 500 million people. I think that's really important.
Can I just say on the sort of single market, that is so important for farming. As the Secretary of State has said, the sheep sector in particular, 38% of our lamb meat is exported onto the continent. And the cereal sector as well, we do export a lot of wheat and we export a lot of barley, particularly to the southern European countries. So again, the thought of renegotiating with all those countries and the tariffs, I guess, would be quite sort of an interesting exercise, to say the least. So again, I think British farming could get a disadvantage if we were to lose that single market access.
I think the other issue is the distraction it would be. We have issues in farming we need to deal with, whether those are animal disease issues, whether it's making sure that farmers have access to the tools to become more productive and competitive. If we were to spend the next 2 to 5 years renegotiating all our existing arrangements and agreements, that is distracting us from what is a massive opportunity, in my view, to build a more successful, more profitable industry. So I think we've also got to look at the opportunity costs.
So we've had the best of it. It's now time to depart the CAP. It's not fit for purpose. 28 countries. You're going to north of the Arctic Circle with commercial reindeer farming, down into a Mediterranean island where people are following clapped out draft oxen with a wooden plough, or to here in the UK with a 550 horsepower tractor. You cannot get a common market in that situation. She talks about a leap in the dark. I would suggest that when Turkey joins the European Union, that's an extraordinary leap in the dark, where we open our doors to yet another 80 million people who are a completely different culture to us, and we've got a £9 an hour living wage. Well, that to them is sort of top 10% of earners are on that. We can't cope like that, we really can't. And yes, it may increase our population and our customer base, but it's going to give us an enormous housing problem, a big infrastructure problem with housing, not only housing, but of course hospitals and, dare I say it, prisons. Here today we were talking about poultry, and they were saying, oh well, we need all this free movement of labour. I would disagree. You do not have to throw your doors open at the moment to 480 million people just to get a few people to work in agriculture, because alongside those who work in agriculture, you've got criminals, you've got traffickers, people who are carrying infectious diseases, people who've murdered other people. All we need is a work permit system. It's not really very difficult, where the employer sponsors the individual who comes to work, agrees to accommodate them, guarantee their good conduct, and make sure they return when they've finished. But in any case, all those who are here now can stay, so farmers aren't going to lose the labour they've got. And I think they're making an unnecessary fuss about this. What I do particularly want to say is that we have a big trading deficit with the European Union in everything of £79 billion a year. That's an enormous amount of money, but agricultural goods do reflect that. It's about 7 million, I think, a deficit. In other words, we buy £7 billion more of agricultural goods from the European Union than we sell to them. So this business of a leap in the dark is simply nonsense. They are going to want our custom. They are desperate for our custom. 32 billion of that 79 is actually with Germany, and a lot of that's cars. And if Angela Merkel was to walk into the BMW works and say, by the way, chaps, I'm going to have a trade war with Britain, they would not let her out of there alive. It's as simple as that.